So one of the biggest things that happens, like when you're talking to somebody, is they're getting lots of phone calls, and so you have to differentiate yourself from all the other people that's calling them. And what'll happen is on like the YouTube channel that I have here is there's a video with Jordan Belfort talking about tonality and body language. So even if you don't go to my playlist on seniorbenefitsplans.com, what you can do is just go to YouTube and type in Jordan Belfort tonality and body language, and it'll talk about like how important how you speak is. And you want to be the professional. You want to be like the insurance doctor. So when I can tell that they're a little agitated, I don't take it personal because this is like my first interaction with them. So I'll ask, "Oh, sir, you're getting a lot of phone calls, aren't you?" And they'll usually say, "Oh my goodness, you have no idea how many phone calls I'm getting." And I said, "Yeah, I can only imagine. I used to get those phone calls too." And it was annoying, and I downloaded an app called RoboKiller, and I tried to filter out these spam calls, and it kind of helped a little bit, but then I was starting to miss phone calls from people that I actually wanted to get phone calls from, like my friends and family. And then after having a number for about 12 years, I ended up changing my cell phone number. Can you believe that? And they're going to be like, "Oh my goodness, you're instantly," people have what we call a brick overcoat. And imagine that you have an overcoat on, like a big jacket, and it's essentially got bricks in it as a layer. It's ridiculous to think about, but just imagine that. Now, when you're talking to them and you relate to them, it's like you're taking one brick out of the overcoat, and then you're reaching in, you're taking another brick out of the overcoat, and then before you know it, you're talking to a completely different person. Like you're talking to a completely different person. They're opening up to you. They're telling you about all kinds of stuff. And now you're like, "Oh, wow." You almost forget that that person was kind of rude in the beginning of the phone call. And so that is our job, like using the script. But sometimes you do kind of go off script, or if you hear me, like I use the script as a structure now. I understand it in concepts. In the beginning, people have to like memorize the script to survive. I mean, that was my crutch. Like it was like literally like without that script when I started, I was dead in the water, right? Because then you're shooting from the hip. You're not aiming down sights. You're like just hoping. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna aim from over here, and I hope that it's gonna hit." It's just not as successful that way. And that being said, I would use the script, you have it memorized, then you're thinking in concepts. Oh, yeah, you're probably seeing all like, "Yeah, well, I've been getting cheaper quotes." It's like, "Okay, you've been getting cheaper quotes. What'd you go to? Like Globe Life, Colonial Penn, something like that?" And they're like, "Yeah, Globe Life, and don't ever say the other company's prices. Globe Life, yeah, I can get that for $9.95. Why would up to $30,000? Why would I want to go with your plan?" I'm like, I'm like, that's too good to be true, right? And they're like, "Yeah." And you'll be able to tell by their response if they know that was BS, or if they're like, "Yeah, I wondered what the catch was," or "Now I know," or "Thank you for telling me that because I had no idea." And so you're like, "Hey, listen, you're getting inundated with phone calls, you're getting inundated with mail, you're getting inundated with TV advertising. And they're all going to put their cheapest price up front. Why? Because they want that phone call. They want to close John on paying $120 a month for $12,000 in life insurance, because that's what a $9.95 a month, because they sell $9.95 per unit. So you get $1,000 of coverage per unit. And I told this man, "You're 67, you're on insulin. I doubt that it's even going to be $1,000. He was like, "Well, I'm going to find out. I always investigate everything myself." And I'm like, "Okay, call him. I know what the answer is going to be, but if you need to check for yourself, then go check." So I told him, and he goes and checks, and it's like $750 a unit. And he said, "Okay, how much you going to charge me per unit?" And it was $9.95 per unit. So he's not even, our deal was way better. I'd be saving him $20, $30, $40 a month. And by the way, sir, all my clients live on fixed incomes, Social Security, disability, you name it. And then he's like, "Okay, that's me." They'll interrupt you to tell you that, "Oh, that's me." And I'm like, yeah, that's right. So that's who we help. That's who this is for. All that means to you is I can always find something that's going to work for you. And if you guys ever wonder, like, Griffin doesn't even follow the script.